Episode 172 of the TV Dudes Podcast, recorded February 22nd, 2018. No laughing matter.
There's nothing funny about any of the shows this week.
No, there isn't.
I mean, I guess there's kind of some jokes in Everything Sucks.
Yes, and some of them are successful.
But I did spend the first half of the full half of the season thinking, God, fuck this show. What did I do? Why did I introduce everybody to it?
Yeah, it did not grab you quick.
It took 5 episodes.
I'm really glad you stuck with it because I was like, wow, I loved it. Damn, that hurts.
I was an 80s kid, not a 90s kid.
Ah,
you damn whippersnappers.
That's interesting.
We'll get to it.
We're going to get to that.
I mean, the Alienist was a hoot, though.
Oh, the Alienist was hilarious. Yeah, we should probably change No Laughing Matter except for murdered whores and psychiatric.
You're talking about our cartoon president?
And children, yes.
Yeah, murdered whores and...
Yeah, murdered whores. That's also by cartoon president.
Wow. I mean, that's a long title, but I guess I could change it.
Yeah, if you want to go back and fix
that. Take a deep breath.
Not going to
just do it in one move.
Episode 172. Oh, God. Folks, yes, we're going to talk about 3 shows this week. We're going to talk about Our Cartoon President over on Showtime, and Everything Sucks over on Netflix, and then The Alienist over on TNT.
It's a weird fit for TNT, by the way.
We have decided that none of these were very funny, even though some of them purported to be.
And 2 out of the 3 we didn't love.
Well, I mean, I would disagree somewhat with you guys, but I'm curious to see how much of The Alienist you guys watched.
Oh, okay.
Because I only watched 1 episode.
I also watched 1 episode.
Oh, okay.
Made it further than me.
Well, mixed opinions there then. But yeah, folks, we're going to be talking about that. But before we get into that, we are the TV Dudes. I'm Grant.
I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And a little bit of disclosure, if I'm slurring my words, I might not be that sober. I went and hit up the old happy hour before we recorded. And I'm like, it's going to be a long episode.
And I, as always, am high on black tar heroin.
It's true.
Yeah.
You love the heroin.
I do love heroin.
You should have lived in the time of the Alienist.
Yeah, they love heroin back then.
You have had a lot of friends.
I mean, in fairness, I did mislead Grant into thinking that I really, really loved Our Cartoon President, so I think he showed up ready to fight.
I did. I guess I'll remove this tape from my knuckles. Bad call there. We also wanted to mention, hey guys, last week we did a live show, and it was fun for us to try out this. I thought aspects of this went pretty well. But I also, was able to go back and check the video stream after we did this and realized that we hadn't properly set up the sound very well. So it sounded a bit rough. Mm-hmm. So apologies to anyone who did tune in. Go ahead and check that out. That is something that we will work on in the future. I think that we didn't manage to properly connect the microphones to the audio, because it must have been going through the laptop. I'm not sure.
Laptop or one of the facing away mics. Because Randy and I were real soft. It seemed like
you guys were soft. Like all of us sounded a bit tinny.
Were we soft and silky smooth?
I mean, you were soft and doughy.
That's my brand. That's actually my brand.
That's
actually my brand. Yeah. I will say, what was our motto about the live show?
We're good. We're okay with failure.
Can't get any worse.
We're okay.
We're okay with failure.
We're okay with failure.
Can't get any worse.
No, that's our motto every week.
It's the saddest motto. Anyway, we might come back and try that again in the future because I think it's something worth experimenting with.
Yeah.
But we learned a lot from this, and hopefully we can roll that into our next attempt. That said, we do want to say, hey, if you guys like what you're hearing on this show and you want to help support us, a couple ways you can do that. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, give us a review on the show. We'll read that here on mic, and we appreciate all the support you guys give us. Nice free way to do it. iTunes, look up the TV Dudes. Give us 5 stars, not 4.
5 stars. Not 4.
3.
Not 3. Not 2.
Unless you really want to hear us bitch about you and not actually read your review.
We won't read. We might read your review, but we'll read a dumb guy voice.
Yeah, like,
this is what I'd say about the TV Dudes.
I'm an asshole. I'd vote for Trump. That's what we'll do. But another way you guys can help us out is go to patreon.com/tvdudes. There you can make a per episode pledge, give us $1 or $2 an episode, and in exchange you get bonus exclusive content.
That's right.
Except for last week, because our bonus exclusive content was our live video show.
Yeah, which was not great. Sorry about that. Not afraid to fail.
They're not always good. Sometimes we will spend an entire Patreon episode speculating about what the Maze Runner series is about.
That was a great episode, and I will fight anyone who says differently.
I don't know if it was good.
Was there's a like a normal podcast version of last week, right? With good audio?
Yeah. We had our
So like if you start them at the same time, like
No,
Wizard of
I cut a
Oz
lot
and
out.
oh damn.
I cut a bunch of stuff.
So it's not like Dark Side and Wizard of Oz?
No, but if you sync the video stream to the Pink Floyd album, Dark Side of the Moon, it'll be
Does that work?
utter nonsense. It will not work.
All right.
it also does not work.
Yeah.
So patreon.com/tvdudes. Thank you guys for all of your patronage. And Permanent Record is our network of choice.
Permanent Record.
We are proud members of the Permanent Record Network. It is a collective of a bunch of podcasts all relating to TV. And if you guys have not gotten enough of your fix just listening to us TV dudes, you should go check out a bunch of the other shows.
Yep.
In fact, these two guys across from me have each done another show. Les, you just concluded your...
Yes, today actually, the last episode for The Good Die Young Season 1 dropped. So
Yeah,
my
you're
wrap-up interview with Javier Grillo-Marxwatch, the creator of The Middleman.
Congrats, man.
Yep, it went great.
And now he's doing a season 2, which is
So Season
something
2
I
will be
wouldn't do.
about the Black Donnellys, but I won't really be able to drop that one until there's a kind of critical mass of interviews in the can.
Very cool, man. How was it?
It was great. It was a really weird several months of fanboy interaction with a whole lot of cast and crew from a show.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Randy, you did Beach Cop Detectives.
Beach Cop Detectives for the show Terriers, which is no longer on Netflix. I'm a little bitter about it, actually.
So if anyone wants a deep dive into either of those two shows, we have a podcast for that.
Yes, we do.
Speaking of which, I also did another podcast on here for a little show called Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, yeah.
I will say that mine was the most popular of all of our shows that we reviewed.
Are you saying that Star Trek Discovery is more popular than a show about private detectives in San Diego?
Here's what I'm saying. Terriers and Middleman could combine their audiences, and Star Trek would whoop their ass.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
100% true.
It's pretty
The people
behemoth.
that are like hate watching Star Trek would outnumber
That's-
the people who are.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Plus, that show's actually streaming somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. It's still going. There's a second season, guys. What? What's that about?
That's the thing with STD.
Permanent Record. Go check them out. PermanentRCRD.com. There's a bunch of other podcasts that we do there, and you guys can go listen to them, give them reviews and love and all that too. Tell them that the TV dude sent you.
That'll be weird because you'll be listening to a podcast and they can't hear you, but you should do it anyway.
You can tell them. You can give it a shot. It's good.
Mutter it softly to yourself.
Hey guys, TV dude sent me.
Yeah. Especially if you're listening in the car with somebody else and just kind of mutter that they will jump out of your moving car.
You're just taking and slathering milk all over your body, saying that the TV dude sent you. It's appropriate.
I hope this is someone's first episode and they have no idea what the milk reference is about.
I said I'm drunk, so they can just chalk it up to that.
This escalated quickly.
Folks, if you like us on our Facebook page, which is at facebook.com/tvdudes, once a week we put up a little question post and you guys can ask us literally whatever you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're surprised that people take us up on that and actually ask whatever they want. But usually people ask things that are related to TV, which works a little bit better for us. First question comes to us from Kian Ibanez, who says, speaking of the 90s, I've been doing research onto Mortal Kombat cartoon and how it was basically a ripoff of G.I. Joe to try to market and sell toys. What is your favorite 80s or 90s cartoon that was used to sell you those cool, awesome toys?
I mean, G.I. Joe is the reason I read comics, so
Really?
G.I. Joe is going to be my favorite. Oh, yeah. Yeah, those TV ads were what got me into comics. So
Why?
the TV ads were awesome.
But you were like 30 by the time you saw those.
No, I was 12 years old.
G.I. Joe also had a comic,
Yeah.
as was done in or shown in that whatever behind the toys thing that the toys that made us. Yeah,
Yeah.
like G.I. Joe actually scammed their way in with like comic book
Yeah, they were
Same
the
with
first.
He-Man. He-Man had a little comic that came with it, right?
Yeah, He-Man was a comic first, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a little crazy. There were actually rules passed by the FCC about that because of that kind of thing, which is why we don't get it as much anymore. But yeah, for a while there, it was like Transformers, He-Man, G.I. Joe,
Challenge of the GoBots.
Challenge of the GoBots.
Oh man, I was obsessed with He-Man. That was my go-to show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've gone back and tried to watch an episode or two, and I go, what was this garbage?
Yeah. Thundercats didn't have toys though, did it? Thundercats was just a show. It was pure about the love of a man and his cats.
He wasn't a cat. He was a man cat.
Yes, there was a love of man cats and an evil mummy.
Thundar living in his cave with all his cats.
Do you guys remember, I want to say the toy was Starcom? And
Oh, yeah, I know. Little
did they ever
bitty
make
with
a
all the
show?
motorized shit. Yeah, Starcom.
All the magnets on the
Yes,
feet.
they are amazing. And the show is great.
There was a show?
Yes.
I didn't remember a show. But
The
I also spent
animation
most of my 80s in Germany, so I only got what it was mailed to me.
Yep. So look up Starcom sometime on YouTube. There's some of it on YouTube, and the animation is bizarrely good for
Really?
a shit commercial show.
I just knew they had the best toys.
The toys were amazing.
Huh, I don't remember this.
They were a different scale than everything else, which is a little
There
frustrating.
are all these little dudes with like all movable limbs and like even the knees bent, and they all have magnets on their feet.
Was this during the 90s? Was this
No,
80s?
late 80s.
80s, huh? Interesting.
So they're like they would magnet to the ships, and all the ships had
So
wind up
awesome.
motors. So you didn't need batteries; like you'd wind it back up, but all the ships had motorized parts that would change and
I
shit.
totally missed this. Must have come out like right as I was like maybe at the end of high school, and like maybe was giving up my GI Joes and stuff. But I don't know, weird.
Anyway, yeah,
Missed-
Starcom was rad. You didn't make that up.
Missed opportunity, buddy. Nick Ty says, "Hey dudes, I have a question for that son of a bitch Les. Whoa. After seeing your live episode from last week, why the fuck are you so good looking? What?
Yeah, Les.
What?
Kidding me?
Nick, you
we
gotta
look
cut it out.
like we look like the 3 stages of hairline on that thing. Like Grant's got all his hair, Randy's ditched hair entirely as a protest statement, and like I've got this midway thing. Like, yeah,
I feel like I do successfully have the most stupid semi of our eyes, though. I am the tiredest looking guy.
Well,
I think in town.
I think I'm the guy who looks the most comfortable. That's what I
you
achieved.
do look comfortable.
Yeah,
We got a review.
I achieved comfort. Hooray!
Nick goes on to say, you don't have to funny, insightful, and you don't. What is this sentence you're saying? here,
He
Nick?
left out a word. You don't have to be funny, insightful, and handsome, right?
That
Which,
makes more
by the
sense.
way, what are you paying Nick Thies?
He says you can coast on just one of those things.
It's not true.
Come to think of it, all you fucking Austin-based podcasters seem to be dapper as shit. What? You do realize that most of us podcast, so we don't have to expose our pasty visage to the rest of the world. From your bitter, jealous, and possibly sexually confused listener, Nick.
There's no question there, but I like that you read it because it's all super complimentary.
he lives
of
in like a
us.
freezing cold, cheese-eating northern state, right? I think, yeah.
Up in the north, this isn't just a theory. Up in the north, the weather fluctuates so extreme, it goes from hot to cold, that your skin gets tight and loose and tight and loose. Over the years, you age a lot quicker up north.
So they're like taffy. Like they just everybody in the north just ages like a basset hound. Like just,
Which explains my eyes. My eyes are northern eyes.
Your Northern Eyes. That's a song.
that's a Kim Carnes song, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Northern eyes are droopy.
Nope.
No, that's a different
Northern
Nope.
eyes.
Nope. Next question.
Is that not it? Sorry. Jonathan Huffnagel says, Dear TV Dudes, I have turned your favorite and most hated TV shows into Bertie Bott's Ever Flavor Beans. Each jelly bean embodies whatever flavor you subliminally think of most in correlation to your own personal feelings and experience with that show. Thus, the Lost Flavor Bean will taste very different to each of you. What TV show beans did you get, and what do they taste like for you?
All right. First of all, a reference to Lost and Harry Potter. So I know that Les paid off Nick. What did you pay Jonathan Huffnagel to ask this question? And second, I suggest that we each name a show, and then we all have to explain what our reaction to
flavor
that
jelly
being
bean?
is.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with Lost, buddies.
You want to go first, Grant? You know exactly what that tastes like, right?
Oh man, it tastes like ambrosia. It just tastes like the nectar of the gods. It tastes like that liquid that is coming from under the island, and some of it's ambrosia with a little mix of bullshit in there. But sometimes that little baby diaper kind of taste, it mixes well with it. It's a little bit of a bitter note.
So you know how the gobstopper, and there's not an entire truth, but the gobstopper was supposed to be like an endless flavor. It was supposed to sort of change flavor as you ate it, that kind of thing. I feel like that's what the lost bean tastes like to me. It's like it starts out really good, and then it gets a little flavorless, and then it's like the same flavor for too long, and then it starts tasting really good again. And then it feels like it's like chewed gum. It's like you can almost taste the flavor there, but it's not quite there. And then eventually it's just gone.
I feel like I should not have chosen Lost.
I thought you meant it was like an everlasting gobstopper because you were told that it's like this infinite thing that changes flavor and all this stuff, and then it turned out when you got it, it was just actually like 8 candy shells and a jawbreaker in the center. I feel like it's more like the buttered popcorn flavor one where you eat it and it's amazing and good, and you are actually like just impressed at the technical skill that it took to even make this thing. You're like, holy shit. But then the aftertaste is weird. And you either have to keep eating it or you can never eat it. Like you end up in an odd space at the end going, I like that, but...
Yeah, I think that's right. That sounds good.
This is a fun game. This was a lot of fun. Yeah. Let's talk about something you guys love.
Are you kidding? I'm not throwing mine in.
Terry's is shit. Tastes like poop. Tastes like just actual feces. I mean, go ahead. Whatever you want.
I'm gonna go with Game of Thrones.
Oh, shit. Interesting.
And I believe that Game of Thrones has a taste that is a little spicy. It's got a little bit of a kick to it. It's I mean,
these are supposed to be jelly beans, I think, right?
It's a little disturbing sometimes. You're like, what exactly am I eating? What did they put in this? But then
is that corpse?
Yeah, you're not sure.
Do I have a taste for death?
But then it's like Pop Rocks. Like every so often it just kind of goes off and you're like, oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, yes.
If there was a jelly bean flavor that was like porridge and dirt and then something blue cheesy weird off in there, because I only watched like 4 episodes of it and it was boring as shit except for a couple of like sex scenes that were like too awkward to discuss.
I can't believe that the biggest, most popular, most like holy shit show, Les just goes, it was kind of boring to me. I was 4 episodes, it was boring.
I love it. I find it refreshing.
I just like... nobody else has ever seen a sword and sorcery thing, right? Like, ever? Nothing? There's nothing. Like, nobody watched Lord of the Rings or played D&D ever before this. Game of Thrones just popped out of nowhere?
I saw the Lord of the Rings movies. I'll take Game of Thrones.
I feel like it tastes a little bit like body sweat mixed with a tinge of blood and... a little bit of like cotton candy in there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's how I might describe it.
All
like
right.
there's some sweetness, but then there's also like I don't know if I want that in my mouth, but it's in there now. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Les?
The OA.
What does it taste like, Les?
It's actually not a jelly bean. It's a tiny rock, and I broke a tooth. But everybody told me that it was going to be this awesome fucking flavor.
I feel like it's just the candy coating shell, and you start sucking on it, and then you're just left with some emptiness. What happened there?
Yeah, I feel like you eat it, and it's like, this is not jelly bean. This is like congealed ham.
I realize I mispronounced it. I think it's the wah. We decided.
I know we should move on, but I did want to throw another one in there.
Yep, sure. I got one more, too. Yep.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
What does it taste like?
That's what I want to know. What does that taste like?
Okay, it tastes exactly like my Cheers one, which is beer. It tastes like beer.
Exactly what I was like. It tastes like flat beer with 3 people yelling at you that it's good.
I feel like It's Always Sunny, though, has to taste like beer that's like sat out and gotten sticky.
Yeah,
it's got to be flat.
And then they like rolled that congealed flat beer with a little bit of like cat dander in there.
Like the mat pour off of a bar, like the stuff caught in the spill mat, made into a jelly bean that you got dared to eat.
Yeah,
and it's got to have like a little sprinkling of angel dust in there,
and a little tinge of rum ham.
No, children, that's crack.
Rum ham.
It tastes like rum ham and crack.
That's just perfect. think we're all in consensus there. What do you got? You got Cheers?
Cheers is what I'm throwing in because it's beer. It tastes like beer.
Oh, it tastes like beer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is there a beer flavored jelly bean? There should be, right?
There's got to be like in their expanded whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Harry Potter expanded universe.
You know, this is like not good for any of you listeners, but there's this place up north by you, and this place called the Domain that has a gummy bear shop that does like these fancy gummies, and you can get beer flavored ones, you can get liquor flavored gummy bears.
Interesting.
It's like it's a gummy bear shop for adults.
Can you get drunk off those gummy bears?
No, but they kind of taste like it.
What if I ate a whole bunch of them?
Go for it. I mean, you should at least try.
Yeah.
I don't know if
gonna
there's
go on,
any alcohol.
I'm going to go on a gummy bear bender.
It's worth a shot. Dennis McElwain says, the cheesy gathering of crew members around Ash Tyler in Star Trek Discovery made me say, fuck off, multiple times to the screen. Are there any moments in TV that you like that makes you say, fuck off?
First of all, I loved that scene.
I kind of did, too.
I don't know where
that scene actually worked for me, but I get what he's saying. Like,
I don't know.
Yes. Something that's like just, okay, every moment of This Is Us, that pilot, every single moment was me going, fuck off. Saccharine garbage. I can't handle it.
But of a show you like, is there stuff in a show that you liked? Is there
okay.
anything in Lost where you're like, oh, fuck off?
Do I have to go through Lost and think?
I was just wondering if there was one.
I'm sure there are, but there's
Like, maybe
nothing
when
like that I held on to, or I was like,
Yeah. Were you mad that they didn't reveal it was the bottom of the hatch? I know some people were.
no.
I wasn't either, but some people that was their fuck off moment where they went through the whole thing and they didn't find out what was in the hatch.
I mean, there's different fuck offs though, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it the fuck off of like that's sloppy writing or that's half-assed, you didn't try
Yeah.
hard, or is it fuck off of you guys just like did a 180 on me and tried to trick me, the audience, and I bought into your shit.
Yeah, because like there's a whole tier of sci-fi genre television that carries with it a certain disclaimer of fuck offness. Like you're gonna have to forgive a certain set of shit if you want to watch any of Supernatural or Lost Girl or like there's all or any Stargates or they're not prestige television, and so that's not so much the fuck off for me. The wholly unearned, like. I felt the Ash Tyler thing was earned, but I feel like what pissed Dennis off was that felt like an unearned beat.
Yeah, I get that.
And so I feel like those are. I'm trying to think.
Well, The Walking Dead is full of them.
Yeah, in a show that I actually like, I think it's been a while since I had one that made me go, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of the last thing. There have been stuff that we've started to watch. I'm sure if we went back and reviewed episodes, I've ranted.
We've actively said fuck
we've
off.
actually said that, yeah.
Like, because I know that there's stuff where we started to watch and I've gone, nope, I'm 3 minutes into this and fuck that, and fuck that, and fuck that.
Yeah, Walking Dead is such a great example.
Walking Dead was full of them. Yeah.
The last Walking Dead I watched was the Negan episode, and I'm sure it was full of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more question. Kyle Volte says, hey, TV dudes, what game show would you dominate your fellow TV dudes in?
Family Feud.
Survey says.
Why
Oh, shit.
Family Feud?
It was the first thing I thought of.
But
You're at your best when it's driving.
yeah, well, and their sets of questions tend to hit a like you're not ready for Jeopardy, but sometimes they're actually difficult.
What's that one with the pictograms? I feel like I'm pretty good at those.
The pictograms.
But man, I can't remember what it is. It's like a pyramid. And
So
like,
not $10,000 pyramid or whatever it is,
no,
$100,000
like you remember
pyramid.
when you like twist off a bottle cap of certain beers and they have those little pictograms?
God, what are those called? Rubric.
Rubik's Cubes.
Rubik's
Yeah. Yes.
Whatever the game show is where you have to name a game show, I would not be good at. No bueno there.
But if there was an American Ninja Warrior, you would win.
I think Snoop is hosting Joker's Wild, and I think I could do okay.
Let's find out.
I want to try.
right, so we got some news. A little sad Kyle's not here for this week. Les will have to stand in for him.
Yep.
Be excited because HBO has announced that it has renewed Crashing and High Maintenance for season 3.
Crashing?
I literally discovered who Pete Holmes was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Crashing.
watched Crashing for the first time maybe 3 weeks ago.
You know what? I'm interested then. Do you like it?
Yeah, I've only watched whatever the first 3 or 4 of season 2.
Okay.
And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know what season 1's like.
It's a great comedy about what really happens behind the scenes of making comedy.
Genuinely thought I'd already watched the show because there's a British show called Crashing. No shit, thought I'd already watched it.
I'm all caught up on Crashing, and I really like it. I'm glad to see it's getting season 3. High Maintenance, I've given 2 shots, just not for me. Although the second season I liked better, but less.
Yeah, I love this show. I actually watched all of this on Vimeo when it was before HBO picked it up.
Yeah, so did Kyle. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe I got to watch all the shorts.
And so it's one of those things, it hits the tone. It hits the same way that Easy is very much kind of a lot of different stories, but they're all kind of trying to hit the same vibe, the same tone across the series. I feel like High Maintenance has a style, and it manages to hit it every time. I could definitely see it being a show that either works for you or it doesn't, but it's solid all the way through. Amazingly, HBO picking it up didn't change it. I could see if you didn't like it before, you still not liking it on HBO, but I was impressed that it didn't fuck it up to move it to HBO.
Interesting.
So them picking it up for another season, I'm fine with that. More of it. It seems like they just left the 2 folks who write it in charge, let them stay in charge of it.
Cool.
It also does the casual shared universe thing.
Which I do like that. All right, so Walton Goggins has signed on to CBS's upcoming adaptation of LA Confidential. He's going to play Vincennes, who is Kevin Spacey's character in the movie. Mm-hmm. This is actually.
I'm impressed with him for replacing Spacey.
He can do it.
Yeah,
It's a little
for sure.
late.
Yeah.
Are they not going back and replacing
They're
him
not
in the
going to
movie?
digitally edit him in. No.
I
No.
thought, okay.
But they should.
They should put him in the last season of House of Cards too.
Oh man, I could rewatch Usual Suspects because now there'll be another twist when it was revealed that he's not Kaiser.
That Walton Goggins is Kaiser Soze the
Yes.
whole time. Yeah. Actually, yeah. I'm in for digitally erasing Kevin Spacey in every movie and putting Walton Goggins
See,
in
and
his
everybody
place.
thought they were going to put dead people in movies.
No.
No,
We're gonna take live people out.
We're going to take live people out.
I'm good
Stalin
with
style.
Kevin Spacey staying in Usual Suspects because I feel like that one works. I can go, oh yeah, you are bad.
Anyway, I love LA Confidential. I love 50s Noir. I'm excited about this. I am weirded out that it's on CBS. I mean, I know CBS is doing the CBS All Access and they've got a little more edgy, but this is a weird thing for CBS.
I mean, yeah. With any show though, I want us to be like, let's see what they can do.
I feel like they do procedurals well.
Yeah.
And the 50s period setting is going to give it a certain cap on the luridness that'll keep it in a. I feel like they.
But not with the movie. I mean, those the thing. Those
But I feel like
remarkable about
CBS
it, right?
can. I feel like CBS will be able to cheat towards their safety and still do a good cop show by having it set. I mean, all they have to do is show dead hookers in hotel room floors and bloody carpets and shit, and they'll probably get away with most of the stories.
That's secondhand to them. I thought it was fascinating with the movie itself how it was able to take the 50s, and I think that a lot of media up until that point, maybe 70s had its run with it, but there was this idyllic version of the 50s that was very frequently displayed.
Yeah.
And LA Confidential showed there's that seedier, darker side, and was just
Yeah.
unflinching about
I
it.
do
was
worry
like
that CBS doesn't know what CD really looks like.
Yeah.
Like that they aren't going to do CD. Did anybody watch Magic City?
Yeah, I watched some of
yeah.
it.
With was it Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Yeah.
It was Miami set, but it was just I think it was Miami.
I think it
it
was
was just
Miami,
seedy, but it got that underbelliness. Like
Didn't they do The Following, though?
No, that's Fox.
Oh, okay. Well, then no credit to them. I can't think of something they've done that's seedy.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything. So we'll see. I'm curious. Walton Goggins signing on is a good sign, though.
yes,
Yes.
All right, this I'm really excited about. Alex Garland is going to do a sci-fi TV show at FX. If you don't know who Alex Garland is, he is the guy who directed Ex Machina and the new movie Annihilation. He does
Gattaca?
smart sci-fi. Oh, did you do Gattaca?
I think he did Gattaca.
Interesting.
Yeah, dude. Garland is pretty awesome. He's the new hotness in sci-fi, and the fact that he's teaming up with FX.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, how did they pitch that to you? But then I was like, oh shit, they probably just showed him like Legion and everything that. What's your boyfriend?
Noah Hawley?
Noah Hawley. Yeah, everything that Noah Hawley.
Oh, is it John Lindengraff?
Yeah, John Landgraf also.
You wish that was your boyfriend.
So they're doing a show called Devs, and we know nothing about it. Something about humankind's relationship with technology, but it doesn't matter. Garland is going to be great.
It's just like software developers. It's about like software.
And he
The
said-
exciting life.
It's actually a bunch of guys named Dev.
It's like the It Crowd.
Yes.
Wow. Alex Garland also wrote The Beach, the novel.
Oh, yeah, I know that novel.
Yeah.
This is playing as a self-contained 8-episode season, and he said, if FX wants to carry it on, I guess they could. Which I love that response. That is a filmmaker who does not need to give a fuck.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, I pretty much killed all the characters at the end and made it impossible to, but
Do whatever you
yeah,
want.
go for it, guys, if you want.
But yeah, I'm excited about the notion of FX doing a cool sci-fi show with Garland. That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
His Dark Materials is going to be on. I don't know if we know. It's BBC, and this is a trilogy of fantasy novels by Philip Pullman, which was like the atheist Harry Potter, basically.
Yeah, I'm excited about this.
Me too, because they fucked up the movie.
About
real
to
bad.
say, this actually gives me hope for another franchise,
Yep.
The Dark Tower, where they fucked the movie up, and I want a TV show out of it instead.
they can fix the TV show, yeah.
Like, this gives me hope that is a possible thing, because Golden Compass was fun, but I came out of the theater going, crap, I don't think we're going to get the rest of this books. And those are such fun books.
So apparently, Bad Wolf Productions is doing it. They of course do Doctor Who, and they worked on the miniseries The Night Of, which was really, really good. And they just finished up something called A Discovery of Witches, which is a fantasy novel that's being adapted. And they tweeted out basically, next up, His Dark Materials for TV. So they're getting to work on His Dark Materials.
Sweet.
So we don't know when, probably not till like 2019, but I'm excited about the possibilities.
Randy,
Yep.
speaking of which, I also saw a press release from Amazon saying that they are going to adapt Consider Phlebas, which
Yeah,
is
the
the
Culture
first novel
novel.
of the Culture series. I'm not familiar with the Culture series.
I don't
but
know
are
it
you
at
guys?
all. Nope.
Yeah, I haven't read those.
But I know a bunch of people are
I believe
super
Banks
excited.
passed away a couple of years ago, or not too long ago.
Ian M. Banks, I guess this dude's series of culture books, but I know that a bunch of fantasy readers are super excited about this. So,
Yeah, they're one of the series that I've not read, but has been consistently recommended to me.
the little, I guess, description for this is The Culture, a fictional interstellar utopian society. From author Ian M. Banks is being adapted. Let me see. That was not what I thought it was going to be.
No, I think basically the premise is like the Culture is this super federation. We're the greatest utopia society, but not everybody likes being utopiized, with your great fucking ideas. And Consider Phlebas is, I think, told from the resistance standpoint. So, like, one of the people fighting against the Federation, basically.
The story centers on Horza, a rogue agent tasked by the Idirans with the impossible mission of recovering a missing culture mind, an artificial intelligence many thousands of times smarter than any human. Something that could hold the key to wiping out the culture altogether.
It sounds like somebody's got to go get the Enigma machine off of a downed culture ship in a no man's land, which sold.
Is it going to be boring like their Philip K. Dick thing was?
Amazon, we don't have a lot of faith in you
I need
guys
Amazon
right
to come through for me at some point, and it hasn't yet.
Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Okay, fair. Yes. Okay, you're right.
But yeah, everything else has been kind of this is pleasant but slow.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing about Marvelous Miss Maisel, though,
Yep.
is that you weren't putting your hopes on that show beforehand.
That's true.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. It just happened.
Yeah, so there's nothing to disappoint there.
So the last bit of news we have is interesting, and this is not huge surprising, but Netflix's movie library is shrinking and its TV growth is not. So Netflix has dropped, the number of films available has dropped from 6,755 to 4,010, which is a pretty notable drop.
Yeah.
And the TV series has gone from 530 to 1569. It says movies do make up the majority of the titles on the site. It's 72% of the total titles, but it is a massive drop from the original 93% of the Netflix catalog. So, yeah, they're very quickly going from being a movie and TV service to a TV service. And the question is, are they going to at some point just be a TV place?
Are they leading this, or are they following what we're watching? Like, are less people watching entire movies and everybody's just watching the TV shows on the site?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, we don't know.
Or are they seeing an easier profit or an easier development path for developing TV shows than developing? Because they also drop original movies pretty frequently.
See, that's what I'm wondering, if they're going to be going to like the HBO model, which is basically that like they have a ton of original movies and original shows, and then a handful of movies that are like bigger.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if there's just other streaming services that are making package deals for, just a glut of movies like Popcorn Flicks or the Roku channel or whatever. And they can do that to compete with Netflix, but what they can't do that Netflix can do is make a TV show.
Yeah.
Or make a deal for 200 episodes of a TV show.
I got the sense that initially they got into the game having a bunch of movies available that they could stream.
Yeah.
But then they found that the cost of negotiating deals with production companies for TV was a lot more lucrative for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're able to get a lot more shows than films, and they found that they had even more content because each show comes with like 13 to 22 episodes or whatever. So they were getting a lot more quantity for what they were negotiating. But also, it seems like the films that they were negotiating for were tied into bigger production companies that were giving groups of films at a exorbitant rate. Mm-hmm. But they were able to get a whole bunch of these shows at a cheaper rate because they're smaller production companies.
Well, it's interesting because I think there's no arguing that Netflix has completely reshaped how TV works. I mean, Netflix is so responsible for where we are as TV.
Yeah, at the time when they were grabbing all of this, it was probably a much cheaper deal for them, too.
But they started out in 97, by the way, so it's like just over 20 years. They just sent DVDs out to people's houses by the mail.
Yeah.
It is crazy to think that company grew into like the TV juggernaut that it has become.
I started my membership in 99.
Yeah, I was not long after. And I was on that DVD plan for a long time when they first expanded into streaming, which is in 2007. I remember thinking, well, that's cute, but there's no way that the internet's going to keep up with this.
I waited 3 or 4 years because no internet that had ever come to my house
was good enough. Yeah.
would stream worth of shit.
Yeah. It's fascinating to see how fast that's all changed. That's like 10 years. In 10 years, they have totally transformed the TV market. I think it's fascinating.
I still remember getting an email from Netflix during the anthrax attacks after 9/11 that said, we're a mail-based service and shit may get weird for a minute. Have an extra movie out for this month, and we're sorry, and there wasn't a mail delay, but they just sent out a preemptive
here's your copy of On Golden Pond. Sorry about the anthrax.
Yep, we're gonna try to mail stuff to you. We don't know what's gonna happen with it.
Here's Billy Madison.
This was
complimentary anthrax.
This was also early enough that the post office was still mailing DVDs. We ain't sure about it.
So the first show that we're going to talk about...
Okay, let me interrupt for a second. Let me set the scene for you people.
Please do.
Every week, every couple of months, I go through this list of shows that are coming up. I look at the release dates, and I make a schedule for what shows we're going to watch. And then, about once a month, I send an email out to everybody, and I'm like, hey guys, here's the stuff we're going to cover this week. Who wants to do it? And people jump in. We get that kind of we get scheduled. We'll make little adjustments here and there, but in general, it's like a thing that I do, and then I kind of fire and forget. I forget what I've done. And so this week, I was looking at the list of stuff, and I'm like, our cartoon president on Showtime. Why would I do that? Why did I want to do that? And I was like,
cartoon president on Showtime. Maybe we should explain what this is so people know why this is a problem.
yeah. Anyway, it's all my fault, and I'm very sorry.
Our cartoon president is this cutesy little behind-the-scenes show about what's going on in the Oval Office with a cartoon version of President Trump and his two dopey sons and
Melania
and Coulter
and everybody.
and Melania, and everyone gets a cute little voice and a cartoon character presence and just the silly goings on of why everything is so incompetent there. I watched about 10 seconds of this and I went and hit stop button. I pulled up an emailed Les and Randy and said, guys, I'm sorry. I just can't.
And I believe I responded, ugh.
And you made it, I think, 2 minutes.
I got like 2 minutes in.
Which
and,
is heroic, my friend.
I feel like, here's the thing. This show involves Stephen Colbert as one of the producers of this, so I figured there'd be something to it. I figured there was some kind of cleverness, or he's been vicious to Trump, and I thought, okay, if this was a fucking what's his name? Not Jimmy Kimmel, who's the asshole who ruffled his hair?
Dennis Miller.
No, that guy's an asshole too, but different.
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. If Jimmy Fallon was producing this,
or who's the one that kissed Spicer on the cheek?
The British dude?
The British one.
Yeah. James Corden?
Yes, James Corden.
Yeah. It was one of those guys. I'd be like, yeah, this is going to be shit, and they should burn in hell for making it. But Stephen Colbert, man, I figured he had something to offer.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, and I said earlier before the show that perhaps it's unfair to review this show having not watched any of it.
I love the fact that none of us watched more than 2 minutes and 10 seconds combined.
Because that said,
I got deep enough in to feel like whatever Les is about to say is justified.
it's not a fucking satire.
No.
Like, watching Hogan's Heroes during World War II is not funny. Like, this is like making a show about my house burning down that you then have me watch from the couch inside the fucking house.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a comedy show when every ounce of energy put into this and every dollar spent making it could have been spent actually fighting the real thing happening outside that is exactly the joke you're making. The level of fucking privilege it takes to make jokes about this while it's going on is so goddamn oblivious that I cannot believe that Stephen Colbert was involved. The only reason I found out he was involved is because I actually looked up the writers' names so that I could name whoever the fuck was responsible for this on air. And it's Stephen Colbert.
I know. I don't understand. I don't understand who thought this was a good idea.
So I haven't watched it.
Well, we were talking about
that I see the news every day.
We talking about That's My Bush.
Yeah,
like that wasn't good either. But at least Matt Stone and Trey Parker are nihilistic libertarian assholes, and it makes sense. I don't get where Stephen Colbert makes this show. I don't understand.
I don't understand this drive toward satire when the stakes are a bit higher. Like, satire has a place and a tone for a way to kind of tear down a bit more lighthearted things, but outright racism, fascism, and bigotry and tyranny, like rising up, we don't need lighthearted satire to take it down.
No.
Saturday Night Live, you're not doing the job you think you're doing, and neither is this.
But here's the thing.
It humanizes.
It humanizes them.
The reason I felt like this could have worked, and the reason I still think the right people could have made it work, The Onion is doing pitch black perfect satire. And it's acidic, and it is speaking truth to power, and it's really good.
But
and
there's a difference between reading a headline and actually having to engage with a character. Because once
that's
you
true.
Take someone and make them into a character, you need to, in some way, be able to identify with them in order to follow along with their story.
Their Trump is going to be like Homer is an asshole that chokes his son all the time, and we love him still.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, pretty much immediately, I feel like this cartoon version of Trump is going to be more coherent and forgivable in like a Ralph Cram, to the moon Alice
right.
You have
kind
him
of way.
rolling his eyes at his dumb sons because they're just so dumb. And at that point, I'm like, no, what you're trying to do there in the preview of this show, trying to show Trump more relatable
Yeah.
because his sons are dumb, and he's just like every other dad.
This
who
show's
going to
do
with
the
this. I'm like,
opposite.
fuck you.
Yeah, it's going to do the opposite of what satire ought to do and what I assume Stephen Colbert means for it to do. It's going to make it. It's so shitty to really face that he's actually fucking president.
Yeah.
That if given a cartoon version that's more palatable, we'll swap it out in our heads.
Yeah.
And cartoon Trump will be what you think of, like, subconsciously, because he can't be this bad. Take away the thing we can stare at that's funnier and make everybody look at the actual one that's happening.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly. It's there. Malcolm Gladwell does this podcast called Revisionist History, and I get it. Malcolm Gladwell can be a little bit of a mixed bag. So take what you will from the guy himself and his quote unquote research that he does. But he did this one episode about satire, and he discusses in it the Sarah Palin portrayal by, our favorite Tina Fey on Saturday Night Live, and how that actually ended up very successfully serving to humanize a lot of these bad aspects of Sarah Palin, to the point that they ended up not only just like making fun of her, but they brought her in for a side-by-side with Tina Fey that made it just like everyone's in on the joke and it's all fun.
Yep, I
rather
hated
than
that.
the lies that Sarah Palin is saying are actually destructive to humanity.
Yeah.
And this is the problem that a show like this does.
Yeah.
Deep down, I want to believe that Trump's joking. Real Trump is joking. And when this show gives me a way to believe that, I can.
Yeah.
Like, when this show shows me a Trump that is rolling his eyes at this, that like, okay, he can't, because he can't be that fucking awful. Like, he's got to be in on it, or he's got to be like,
But he is.
And this show gives me a way to believe that. I feel like it's similar to the study they did a few years ago about bringing up a conspiracy theory to refute it. Doesn't refute it.
Just adds
bringing
more
the
to
news
the
story.
noise.
Like if every news station tonight brings up a false story to refute it, a good portion of people are going to believe it because all they heard was the news brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like doing this does the opposite of whatever the fuck they mean for it to.
Yeah.
It is February of 2018, and this show
Oh Christ, are we
might
only-
already have my biggest fuck you of the year.
Yeah, we don't always keep track of our worst shows of the year, but people should remind us of this when we're doing our end of the year episode.
Like, I
of our
just don't
cartoon
like Britt
president.
Marley, and I just got mad at the OA. Like, I very rarely think that something's like a disservice to society to have made,
Yeah.
and I'm angry that this exists.
So our cartoon president made Les say a nice thing about the OA. That's how bad it is. That's how terrible it is.
That's where we are in America right now, you fucks.
that the OA at least
You
isn't
see where you put me?
the OA isn't at least actively hurting anyone.
Vote in the midterms before this gets worse.
Like our title said, no laughing matter here. Let's move on to our second show, which is also no laughing matter, The Alienist over on TNT rather.
TNT. Oh, man, that would be a great show on TBS.
TBS, very funny.
They're the same company. So
They're
it's
more or
like-
less the
Dead
same.
in Cleveland.
But TNT, so this takes place in the era of Jack the Ripper. You have an Alienist, which was like the early precursor to a
Profilers.
profiler psychologist
Yeah.
who's able to be able to look at criminal psychology and figure out what's going on there. And we have Baron Zemo
Yeah.
from
That's who that
Marvel
is.
movies.
Daniel Bruhl, and I like him.
Daniel Bruhl, he was also just recently in the Cloverfield Paradox, which I liked.
I liked him in that.
But he's the alienist here, and then we have Gaston as his right-hand man, the artist from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, no.
I don't remember. Luke Evans, is that his name?
I don't know.
Luke Evans.
I didn't see Beauty and the Beast. I've only
You
seen the
saw
cartoon.
Fast and the Furious 3, though, or 2, whichever one he was in.
No, I don't remember.
I was like, man, are those the same movie? That's great. You're telling me if I haven't seen Beauty and the Beast, but I did not realize it aped the plot of Fast and
Fast and
Furious.
Furious 2, Beauty and the Beast.
Gist. They Tokyo drift for a bit, and then
Wow.
Around the rose and with
Disney's-
the dance scene, but it's all cars.
Disney's live-action Beauty and the Beast supposed to really change some shit.
BR drift. You don't remember that part? That's so good.
I don't remember
This works.
Oh shit, guys! This is why I don't podcast drunk, except for on the beer.
Except on the other podcast you do.
This is as sloppy as I am there. Anyway, you guys did not care for this,
I did not care for it.
and we all only saw the pilot.
Yes.
Okay.
It was just boring to me.
I was bored. I don't love period pieces. It takes a lot. I didn't love The Nick, and The Nick is fantastic TV, but I just don't care about period pieces.
For me, I remember this book coming out. Like, this book's been out for a while.
Yeah.
So, like, The Alienist came out when the Hannibal, like, Silence of the Lambs movie and Hannibal Lecter book, and, like, that shit was the rage the first go-round.
Yeah.
And then it's been in development hell forever.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's finally a series. I have been alternately excited about this off and on for on a few years of like, oh, that'll be a cool series. But then Hannibal came out, and the Ripper Street rather, and Copper.
I like that
and,
you keep giving Ripper Street.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, no, wait.
And
Time After Time is the one I keep thinking
yes.
of.
No, that's terrible. But like a whole lot of these have come out.
Yeah.
And so to sit and watch a period piece where part of the plot is characters in a room where one person's going, no, murder is possible, and the other three people in the room are going, human men wouldn't do such a thing. and the guy's like, he killed a hooker, and three people are like, I don't believe you. Like, no, if I don't want to spend half a fucking pilot convincing humanity that like that show doesn't work for me anymore. I've seen that done enough times. Like, the furthest you can go back for me at this point is Mindhunter. As far as like FBI agents standing in a room going, no, man, people are crazier than you think. I at least need the people in the room to be past the like, well, no genteel man would stab a lady of the evening. Like, no, bullshit. Get caught up.
I do have to say, I'm not always the biggest TNT fan. Like, I liked Leverage. I think that was theirs, but they tend to have a sort of USA, off-brand USA, which is not great.
The Poor Man's USA.
Poor Man's USA.
Ooh.
And this did have a look. Like, this looked expensive. It has like the costume design, the settings. Like, they put some money behind this. It looks good.
Yeah.
But I was bored.
Daniel Bruhl also looks too babyface to be the character. I like that actor, and it would bother. Like, he looks out of place. He looks like the hair's fake, or he just doesn't. Like, he made the whole thing look like a stage play to me. Like these are sets.
It was like they cast Pete Holmes as the alienist.
A little bit too babyface, yeah.
I think you guys both bring up some great points about the problems with this episode. I watched this, however, and I found it actually fairly engaging. And in fact, I was surprised at how engaging I found it, despite the material they were working with, which I thought was a bit more of a testament to the directing and editing. I would, in fact, say this was the exact opposite problem that I had with the finale episode of Star Trek Discovery. I thought that Star Trek Discovery had a great script, and how they chose to direct and edit that made it really lackluster, and it felt flat and a little bit boring. And here they took some material that I agree with you. It's like having to convince people about this, but like the music sequences, the close cuts with everyone, I was like, they're really charging up drama for some nothing scenes here, to the point where I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm on board. I'll see where this goes.
Okay, all right.
So I found it a bit more captivating. That said, I also agree with Randy that I'm not one of the biggest fans of period pieces. I feel like I need to have a much bigger dramatic hook than what this show is providing me.
Yeah. One
chase scene that resulted in kind of nothing but a hole in the ceiling was not enough to be that intriguing to me.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to stick with it.
Yeah, the only period piece, and I didn't finish watching this one either, but the only period piece I really like is another period, and that featured cocaine wine.
Cocaine
wine!
It's mostly cocaine.
All right, guys. So, once again, no laughing matter on that show. Now, our last show is, once again, Netflix just dropping out of the blue a brand new...
Didn't know what this was at all.
Here's 10 episodes of a show.
10 episode show. This is called Everything Sucks. Takes place in the 90s, in 96.
Yep.
And it features some freshmen, some sophomores, and some seniors out of high school.
I really thought this was a documentary like The Toys That Made Us. Like, I didn't know what the series was at all.
It was a pretty big surprise. In fact, my first, being able to see this first was on Twitter, where people were like, wow, this is awkward and kind of good, is what I kept seeing people tweet about it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go check this out.
So I was a senior in 96.
I was
I graduated in 96.
I graduated college in 94.
I was a 8th grader, I guess, but close enough.
I moved to Austin and got my first grown-up job in 96.
Same year. That summer, I moved down here and got a job at a video game company. But these were the freshmen. These would have been the freshmen whose names I refused to learn. Like, I would have been the shitty. Like, I wasn't that shitty drama kid that bails, but I fucking knew him. Like I was sitting there go, oh God, it's James Gill.
Okay, so halfway through this, 5 episodes in, I posted and I was like, oh, I'm sorry to subject you guys to all this. I hate this show.
And that was shortly after I had stopped watching our binge watch of it to message Grant, holy fuck, go watch Everything Sucks right now. Not knowing that I was on this week and was supposed to be watching it. Lisa just happened to start it at our house, and we binge watched it in a sitting.
Well, what's funny is I came around. You guys were talking about how much you liked it, and so I decided to stick with it because I was going to quit at episode 5. And I wound up really liking it. But the one thing I don't like, that fucking drama kid, I hated him all the way through. I know I'm supposed to hate him, but I really hated him.
Yeah.
Like, I want to find out that he's dead somewhere in Los Angeles. I hated that kid.
Whatever. He's just a drama kid who was aloof. I feel like he was putting on an act the entire time.
Everybody else won me over, but I hated him.
That first episode sucked. The first episode was the weakest one, I thought, of the bunch.
I think them being 20 minutes long or so each, It wasn't as evenly paced like the way every episode of Into the Fucking World was perfectly paced at 20 minutes, but it had that short burst. Well, that squeaked. It had that short burst pacing so that I made it through the first episode really quick. Like, we were already into 2 episodes when I went, what are we watching? This is weirdly like high school. Like, I did the announcements in high school.
Oh, wow, did you?
We did video announcements. We had the same A/B editing bullshit. I got in trouble for saying fuck on the air. Okay, so the first time, no laughing matter, the first time that I laughed out loud caught me off guard. The subtle bullshit between the 2 anchors on their morning announcements where the guy kind of keeps being weird to the girl who just does not want to talk to him.
Yeah.
And his name is Scott Pocket. And at one point, I think it only happens once, but he says I'm Scott Pocket, and before anything else happens, she goes, Scott Pocket, and then moves right on, and you see him
I did wind up liking that character too, just because he's such a smarmy asshole.
Oh, and how is he not Garrett Dillahunt in high school? Every time he looked at the camera, God damn.
Yeah, I was a theater kid, so I have some, but I was not that theater kid. But I hung out in the theater group, and we were outcast to an extent, but not quite the extent that this was, and it wasn't quite as small. I mean, also the other thing is that this takes place in a place called Boring, Oregon. It is supposed to be small town.
Yeah.
And I did not grow up in a small town, so I didn't find this all super relatable.
I had 180 people in my graduating class.
But as it went on, and we started to see how much of the story, first of all, the relationship.
I had 1125.
Damn.
I don't know. We had a big number. I didn't know that many numbers. As we saw the relationship between the principal and the kid's mom develop, and as we saw the sort of lesbian relationship develop, I was like, oh, okay, I get this. I was playing into both of those relationships, and I thought they both paid off really well.
The uncomfortably forward train wreck theater girl at the start that does the absolute mean girl thing in the first episode. Yeah. Watching that turn into and I honestly. Well, I mean, I thought she was trolling the person she's into until the last fucking moment.
Oh,
honestly, until she said, I like you, I thought she was fucking with, there was a part of my brain that was like,
have your guards up, have your guards up, you're going to get hurt.
Oh, man, I maybe I'm naive because
maybe that was just my high school experience or something. I was like, keep your fucking fists up until you are sure.
I thought from the first moment where she made her grab her chest, I wondered that from she there. Was like, oh, she's actually into her too, but she does
saw
not
her from
know
across
how
the
to do
room.
a thing about this.
I kind of wondered if they were going to do it, but honestly, and the show did this twice. Partly on that, I thought from the moment, wow, there's a possibility there, but no, shows don't do that. If anything, they're going to kill one of these girls. That's what happens to lesbians.
And how I think her name was Katie. Is that the main young girl?
I don't remember any of the names.
How she plays that role is fantastic. She plays such awkward, shy. This show is like
She
it's
does
like
a lot.
Napoleon Dynamite high school kind of thing, but it's like Freaks and Geeks of the 80s.
Yeah, I can see that.
Hear how it plays out. And I thought it was going to be a comedy until I got
Kate.
about 2 episodes in, and how it ends in the second one where he makes his music video and plays it. I'm like, okay, I get the tone of this. I get that this is more of a feel-good, very earnest show.
Crazy earnest, yeah.
And it wears its heart unapologetically on its sleeve and does a pretty good job of like fleshing out these characters.
I feel like there's probably a swath of people that aren't going to like this comparison, but there's a movie called Band Slam that hits the same kind of teen. I mean, like the earnestness they're going for. Like when cheese earnest teen movies work, I feel like that's kind of what Everything Sucks built to. The other thing it did that I wanted to applaud that, like, I didn't expect them to do, and then when they did it, it kind of made me have to check my expectations of television. You get introduced to the 3 kids. I knew nothing about this show, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know who the fuck was in it. I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was a documentary when we hit play on it, frankly. You introduced to the 3 nerd kids, Freaks and Geeks style, right? Like the Haverchuck weird Guilfoyle glasses kid, like the Martin Starr character.
Sam kid who's the weird
the
nerd.
super short weird kid. Yeah, the Sam kid. So then the camera does what it's going to do at the start of a show, and it follows the main kid off from his friends and stuff. And the camera followed the black kid.
Yeah.
And I sat there for a second of like, we're spending a weird amount of time with the best friend.
Yeah.
No one makes the black kid the focus in a show.
I
in a small town that's a very predominantly white town.
And then it wasn't like they didn't then beat me over the head with it for they follow.
They in fact
they
don't
just
make
picked him
the
as,
race a thing.
They just pick him as the kid. Like, and I wanted to just fucking applaud in the same way that like they set up this amazing high school relationship, and it's the girls, and that goes. I mean, nobody's coming out in high school, or not coming out, but like nobody's experience of that in high school was great.
No.
And she goes through some awful shit.
Yeah.
But overall, like that was incredibly touchingly well done.
How they set up and then how they execute the scene where she takes Luke to the bridge and talks about her mother.
Oh my God.
And then
Yeah.
leaves him there.
Yeah.
Was so well executed, so powerful.
When she calls him
my
out.
mouth was just open. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
That, like, this scene, like, this show won me over. The show won me over far before this. But, like, that part, I was like, man, how did you manage that?
The AV teacher, Stargraves.
Oh, yeah.
That's the creator of the show.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, man.
That's why
He
that
gave
dude's
himself some good moments.
Yeah, when he gets the nod with the kid that is Simon
Yeah.
Phoenix from Demolition Man,
Phoenix.
like the black kid in the theater group is totally fucking. He
Simon
dyes his
Phoenix,
hair
yep.
partway
His
through.
hair.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, when he gets the like head nod with that kid about the park ranger coming out of the motel room
Yep.
at one point, like, so yeah.
I also love little things like the Ace of Base song getting trapped in the music because they have to listen to it over and over again.
The weird girl with the church camp stories that keeps
Yeah.
it. And I like that their weird kid was legitimately weird. Like, not cool weird, not quirky weird. Just weird.
I, in parts, really identified with that kid, and then he went like above and beyond weird, like where he's just like socially inept.
Yeah.
Like-
I like that we see just glimpses of the backstory enough to fill in the gaps. Like he has problems reading, and you see when the asshole drama kid comes by his house to drop off his like, you're the next in line to be my chosen like Padawan, whatever.
Yeah.
Box, and you see the truck that's just filled with beer cans and his shitty little house.
Yeah.
And you just kind of feel for this kid that is like,
he's being as optimistic as any human could be in that.
yeah, he's not in an ideal situation.
Yeah.
Seems like it's likely abusive, and he even looks a bit like Beavis. And then he does a Beavis impression that was so awkward and off that I was just like, oh, that's just like what a weird kid doing a Beavis impression would do.
Yeah, their interaction. Well, and his other friend that the Martin Starr character, like for lack of a better term, like the Haverchuck.
Yeah.
He's so dickishly awkward that I was like, yeah, no, these aren't charming weird kids. These are just your weird friends.
Yeah.
Like. And but the show didn't skew too heavy towards it. Like it kept it together as a show.
They make it feel real, like Freaks and Geeks did.
Yeah.
It was less
It didn't have as good
grounded
a,
as Freaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like this is what Big Bang Theory is aiming for. Like, oh, these guys are totally weird, but you kind of like them. You want to root for them. Like this is more like, oh, this is what it's actually like, where you kind of want to root for them, but you also kind of want to pants them and leave them in the girls' bathroom.
Like you kind of want to grab them all and like stop doing some of this.
And I say that as a lifetime nerd. I wanted to pants these guys half the time.
Did you guys notice that the main kid, Luke, aside from doing a great job, he had to carry a lot of the show on
he
his
had
shoulders.
several scenes where I went, how did they get a child actor that did that?
He had a lot of
Jeez.
depth. Yeah.
But speaking of a child actor, you know how little he starts the show? And by like episode 10, I'm like, that kid is sprouting like a motherfucker.
I did not notice
didn't
that.
notice
actually.
that,
His voice stays about the same, but he's starting to grow
That's-
already. I was
that's
like,
funny.
man, you're getting tall. There's like a couple scenes where he's
Taller
sitting
Ghost
next to
Walt
his
this
mom.
shit.
Yeah, it's like you're like Walt.
I also liked the little making a movie aspect of it. Like that's an element that I think made the time period work. And
it also it made their video thing at the start. It was incredibly technically adept.
Yeah.
And that they didn't just leave that out there as a weird he's too good at this for high school, but that they made it a focus of like when they then moved on to the movie
driving
of like,
force.
okay, you would choose the movie as the thing you know in your head you can pull off.
Yeah.
And we've already established that I know you can pull it off.
yeah.
Oh God, we finished that series and Lisa looked over at me and went, so his high school years are going to be spectacular, right? Like that kid owns that fucking school right now and is barely done with his freshman year. Like you are walking into just a kingship for the next 3 years, sir.
I am surprisingly invested though in what's happening with the ex-husband coming back.
Yeah.
Because, man, the weird thing is, like, they did a good job of selling that guy as sort of a sad sack artist type who abandoned his family. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I kind of want to root for him, like to put things back together with this kid. And at the same time, I'm so happy with the principal having that relationship. And I'm like,
everything's going so well. You don't need to be here, dude.
Whatever happens, someone's going to get hurt who doesn't deserve to be hurt.
Yeah, he doesn't. He just stay out. Like there's nothing that you can do.
He didn't even recognize his kid.
No, he recognized the name on the school bus.
Yeah.
That's the only way he knew that shit was up. And you made a whole tape about how artists got to travel. You know, Rolling Stone can't gather no moss. You got to be free. And then you went on to not even run it. You just went on to work at a Blockbuster.
Oh, that's the thing. I think he learned his lesson. But the question is, can you ever go back? It's like you abandon your family, you can't go back.
It was so fantastic how they show those tapes, and you start like, in a way, you're like, this guy's kind of fascinating. He seems like he has a good heart. He loves his family.
I was kind of wondering
but
to see
his
like what happened. What happens?
Yeah, his passion is like getting ahead of him, and now he's getting a little jaded and disillusioned with everything in his life. And oh no, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, if this guy comes back and he's your kid's dad, there's no way she doesn't give him a chance.
At least, even if she doesn't give him a chance,
to like,
she'll have to
life.
grudgingly let him be in Luke's life.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And that's going to cause problems for their relationship. Yeah. I am that last bit of the end. I'm like, shit, now I want season 2.
See, that's my problem though with Netflix. Netflix, and it's not just them. All shows do this.
You want the nice button?
They could have just tied this one in a nice little knot and then dropped another season, because Netflix is the binge model. They don't have to cliffhanger their seasons like this. If it's not like a mystery show,
that's true.
Don't need to. And I thought this could have just been so tightly closed and been perfect with that end scene with them all at the house having pizza.
Yeah.
But instead, they have him ride up because they're like, what if?
And it is a painfully obvious
Season 2.
like hook for season 2.
Yeah.
Where like there's no point in showing that except to hook season 2.
See, I actually like that though, because I feel like the tone of Everything Sucks is that like there's always a little misery waiting around every corner of happiness. So the notion of like having a sort of happy ending where they get this pizza party and everything's good,
But it's just a lame pizza party in their house. It wasn't like that spectacular either.
But I mean, they're in boring
Pretty much
Oregon.
everybody's story had wrapped up successfully though.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what I mean. Living everything in a nice little bow felt tonally off to me, so I kind of liked that little sour note.
Okay. That's just what Netflix does now.
Yeah.
And it's what all TV shows have done in the past. So I'm okay with it, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, like I assumed something else had to happen just because no TV show can end on that note. Like it's something's got something's going to happen. Yeah. Like on the way out, like if the camera's pulling out of the window of the house on like the Norman Rockwell scene, like you know you're about to see something fucked up. Like
Yeah, the silver
Yeah.
ball is going to appear and grab
Comet
the
going towards
protagonist
the house, but something.
So yeah, not as funny a show as we thought, but it's a really good
a
heartfelt show.
solid offering. Yeah, It was better than I thought it was going to be.
I thought it was pretty interesting that you dedicated 2.5 hours to watching this show and just weren't digging it.
Oh, I hated it.
But based on us, you went, okay, I'll give it another shot, and you went in and watched another 2.5 hours.
I really didn't think you were going to. I mean, because you've given it 5 episodes, and I'm like, really, that's all I could ask.
Yeah.
Of like, you tried, man. If you aren't liking it, you didn't like it.
Yeah. If
I'm
you
really
weren't
happy that you
early,
finished it out because it isn't until like the next to last or last episode that the relationship that so impressed me happens.
Same. And that's the thing.
And my jaw fell open of like, fucking bravo TV for not just doing some shitty cliche thing, but letting this happen, just letting this be.
Yeah, it turns around a little late, and I think that going back, knowing where it goes, I'd probably enjoy the whole thing more. But yeah, I felt like I was like, oh, I don't know about this, and I'm glad I stuck with it.
Yeah, I'm
All
glad
right.
they didn't sour note that. I'm glad they. That's the kind of like, oh, no
Yeah.
TV show can leave this wrapped in a bow that I was waiting for was on the relationship.
Right.
So like, I
Yeah.
knew if I had that, if they let me have that, then like, oh yeah, the comet's gonna hit the house while you have this fucking pizza party.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up there. This was a fun episode to kind of discuss all these shows.
Yeah.
Thematically, things not being what we thought or being a little bit depressing. Fuck our cartoon president.
Yes,
I
fuck
guess
our
is what I
cartoon
wanna
president.
say.
Yeah. Mhm.
But yeah, I thought this was fun. I hope that you aren't having us review some other terrible show next week, Randy.
We'll see what happens. I don't actually know. I just make the schedule.
Oh boy, we'll see. I have some homework I'm sure I gotta do. But Les, Randy, thank you guys.
Thank you, Grant.
Listeners, thank you so much. We will be back next week. Please tune in. You can also go to iTunes and Patreon and check out our other shows on permanentrecord.com. Until then,
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Permanent Record Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, please go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes and help us out on iTunes by giving us a 5-star rating and writing a review. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and permanentrcrd.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.